In the second to last game of the 2019 season, Girona's fate was sealed in the 86th minute when Levante scored to make it 2-1, virtually relegating them. And to make matters worse, Levante erupted into euphoria, as in the exact same moment, they instead had mathematically saved themselves from the same fate. But for Girona fans, this was unfortunately an all too familiar sight for them. Founded in 1930, Girona's first professional season was played in 1936 in the second division, where they finished top of their regional table, granting them a playoff spot and a chance at tasting the first division. But unfortunately, they missed out on promotion to Celta Vigo and Zaragoza. This remarkable first season would be the closest they would get to the big stage for a whopping 80-year period. During this time, they would inconsistently and agonizingly fluctuate between 3rd and 4th divisions. Relegation was a constant fear for Girona fans. They even twice dipped into the regional 5th division, really the border between professional and non-professional football. Some teams that fall down there never make it back out. But in 2008, Girona completed a remarkable back-to-back promotion campaign, taking them from the 4th to 2nd division in just 2 seasons. This is when the history of Girona changed forever. Before 2008, practically nobody knew who they were, and during that promotion season to the 2nd division, they were only averaging around 500 to 1,000 fans in Montalivi. But for the playoff game, 10,000 people flocked to their home ground to watch them play against Ceuta. Remarkably, they were able to stave off relegation, finishing just above for the next 2 seasons. This is a crazy feat by a team who was only in the depths of 4th division just 2 years prior. By 2010, this extraordinary tale started to make its way across the web of the footballing universe, and some very big names started to take notice. And at the end of the 2010 season, a local group of businessmen by the names of Robin Valaro, Joaquin Boadas, and Joseph Swim purchased 72% of the club's shares, making them the owners of the club, bringing in the much-needed funding and development to create a stable football club. It was here, in the 2nd division, that they would stay for another 7 seasons, and during this time, they would agonizingly finish in the promotion playoffs 3 times. In 2013, they would finish in 4th and make it to the final stages of the playoffs, where they would end up failing to beat Elche over 2 legs. 2 seasons later, they would finish tied on points with Sporting Gijón for 2nd place, but excruciatingly, they were 2 goals short on goal difference, and would have to battle it out in the playoffs yet again, where they were eliminated this time out by Las Palmas. Anyone see a common theme forming here by any chance? Then next season they finished 4th in the promotion playoffs again, and yep, another failed promotion. After failing 2 years in a row, Girona were determined to make 3rd times the charm work for them. And finally, at the end of the season, they finished in 2nd to clinch the guaranteed promotion to La Liga for the first time in their long and grueling history. Things were finally looking up for them. Now, here's where we're going to have to take a quick intermission to talk about the giant bright blue elephant in the room, City Football Group. Since the takeover, Girona have brought in 15 players from the CFG network, making both loan and permanent deals incredibly easy transactions because of the intertwined nature of the connections. In fact, with the sale of Pedro Porro to Spurs for €12 million, the club's dealings with the CFG network has resulted in a €7 million profit. That's a net gain of 10 players for €7 million profit. If that's not gaming the system, then it's severely flirting with the exploitation of it. And a prime example of this is Savio, who is on loan at Girona from Troyes, another sister club in the CFG group. He's set to join Man City at the start of the 2024-25 season. These types of deals are no doubt much easier to orchestrate when there are so many conflicts of interest. But look, I can sit here and talk about all the issues that the CFG brings up, but honestly, this isn't something new. This happens across all the top leagues. What about Red Bull? They own RB Leipzig, New York Red Bulls, RB Salzburg, Red Bull Bragantino, and then you have New City Capital. They have Barnsley, Thun, Oostende, Nancy, Esbjerg, Den Bosch, Kaiserslautern, Tichy, not to mention United and AC Milan and Toulouse. The list goes on and on. In fact, earlier this year, UEFA research showed that more than 180 clubs worldwide were part of a multi-club structure, and over 6,500 players were employed by teams connected to such groups. This is a reality of the modern era. Instead, I'm choosing to focus on the more positive side of a remarkable story about a small club from Catalonia with a stadium capacity of just 14,000 that's clawed its way back from the trenches of the lower divisions and has triumphantly found a way to fight with the galactic-sized heavyweights in La Liga. Because after it's all said and done, you can have any amount of help from your infrastructure you want, but you still have to do it all on the pitch for it to matter. So let's get back to the real story of Girona. In their debut season, Girona played phenomenally well, making it hard to believe that they were a newly promoted side, even beating Real Madrid 2-1 along the way to finish in 10th place in the league. Things really could only go up from here, right? Well, if you'd been paying any attention at the beginning of this video, this takes us back to 2019. Girona were relegated just the next season in dramatic fashion, completely losing all their progress over the past year. So much for City Football Group's influence, right? But Girona were not going to let this setback completely spiral them back down to the lower divisions. They'd been here before, many times in fact, and immediately they fought their way into the last playoff promotion spot, something they seemed to be experts at by now. In the first round, they dispatched Almeria over 2 legs with a 3-1 aggregate. Next up was Elche, away, where they were able to draw 0-0. It was perfectly poised for the last leg to be in front of their home crowd to clinch promotion back to where they felt they belonged. They started the match off well, dominating and putting heavy pressure on Elche's goal. But then in the 61st minute, top goal scorer Christian Stuani badly fouls defender Daniel Calvo. And it's, a yellow card. Wait, never mind. VAR wants a word with you. It's red. And now they're down to 10 men with 30 plus minutes to go and everything to lose. But they're able to hold on for the next half an hour, and then the referee raises the board. And there'll be a what? Another 10 additional minutes of added time. And of course, as you should know already, Girona only does it one way. To add to the maximum dramatic effect possible, they concede with just 4 minutes to go on a poor near post header, and there goes the whole season's efforts yet again. They'll have to play in the second division next year. It's now April of the 2020-21 season, and it looks like Girona are going to have to settle for an unconvincing mid-table finish outside of the promotion range. But with just 8 matches in the season left, Girona go on an insane 7-game win streak and pick up a total of 22 points to rocket them into 5th place. Another chance at promotion through playoffs. I mean, this is the 5th time in 10 seasons that they finished in promotion playoffs. Surely, they would finally get back to La Liga, right? Nope. They lost 3-2 on aggregate, throwing a lead going into their home leg, and were unable to score against the 10-men Rayo Vallecano to secure their promotion. This was a major blow to the confidence of the team and the fan base. The consistent failures when their fate was in their own hands was devastating. And unsurprisingly, 10 games into the start of the next season, the 21-22 season, Girona had lost 6 and won just 2, putting them in relegation zone. And this is when everything changed. In steps promotion master Michel Munoz to become the new manager of Girona. This guy had only ever coached 2 other clubs before, Rayo and Huesca, and got them both promoted in his first season in charge, not to mention as champions both times. So, needless to say, he definitely had the pedigree in La Liga too. The effect was immediate. In his first 13 games, Michel had won 9 and lost just 2. And at the end of the season, he was able to secure them a promotion playoff spot for their 3rd time in a row by the absolute skin of their teeth. In fact, they finished tied on points with Oviedo for 7th and had a worse goal differential, but finished above them on head-to-head. We should have expected nothing less than top-level drama at this point for Girona. Yet again, moving on to the playoffs, they go down 1-0 in the first leg, but Cristian Stuani is able to rescue them at the death with an extra time winner in the 91st minute to advance to the final promotion playoffs, where they succeed against Tenerife 3-1 on aggregate, at last to clinch the last spot to La Liga from a 6th position finish. Michel Munoz had completed a miracle once again, promoting a side in his first season at the club. That's 3 in a row for him. And speaking of threes, Girona had finally gotten over their playoff failures on their 3rd try. This brings us to the current First Division era of Girona, finishing a remarkable 10th place in their first season back in La Liga, and who are currently now, as of making this video, in 2nd place, putting them in a possible title contention, but more realistically, a European spot. So how did a team who struggled so incredibly much put together a squad that is currently breaking La Liga and challenging the reign of the normal top 3? The most important factor to talk about here is the strategic transfer business they've been able to do in the past 2 seasons. Girona have only spent 37 million euros since their most recent promotion to La Liga, and they're able to compete rather effectively against the top position, even though they're spending a fraction of the price, 1/5 to be exact. 2 words for you: free and loan. Girona have been surgically able to pick up players that had been largely out of favor with their clubs and had contracts expiring. Let's take a look. Man United, Ajax, and Bayern defender Daley Blind, free. 6'5" reserve Fulham goalkeeper Gazzaniga, free. Veteran defender David Lopez, free. Alex Garcia, Arnau Martinez, Valery Fernandez, Juanpi, free. Then we have 4 hugely influential loan players in Jan Couto, Pablo Torre, Eric Garcia, and Savio. Obviously Savio and Couto being from the CFG web, not to mention Savio is already confirmed as a City player for next season, but let's be honest here. That's only 2 players this season who have major links to the CFG. I think a lot more has to be said about the business done recruiting the correct players for the squad at fractions of the price than of everybody screaming this and that is unfair, links to other clubs, blah blah blah. Look, I'm not defending CFG, but it's like I said before, you have to actually still win the games, and in this case, you have to actually still build a full team as well. And all this without mentioning the actual transfers they've made. Cristian Stuani for 2.5 million euros, 129 goals for the club. Porto for only 3 million, Ivan Martin, 2 million, Sagankov, 5 million, Artem Dobrovic, only 7.5 million. This man has been instrumental this season for Girona, netting 14 and assisting 5, an absolute steal. Girona have found really the only way to game the system for the cheapest way possible, and have done so masterfully. I mean, this season they've been dominating teams that more recently would have been their rivals lower in the table, and they've fantastically beaten Barca in the Camp Nou, and Atletico as well. It must feel so weird being a Girona fan, being an avid sufferer of relegation and promotion failure in dramatic fashion, to tasting the heights of La Liga glory regularly. What worries me personally though, is knowing Girona's story and past. I wouldn't put it past them to drop like an anchor in fantastical fashion. Let's remember that Jan Couto, Eric Garcia, and Savio will not be here next season most likely, including the possibility of Champions League schedules to add. Hopefully, they don't die out as hard as they burned bright. A fan base that's gone through as much as they have surely deserves some kind of consistency.